Let me ask you, what's the first street gang other than the Watts gang? You mentioned the Huns. Oh no, was it the Huns or the Farmers? Yeah.
The Farmers were the first one. Yeah. The Huns came later on.
The Huns came later on. But in terms of those are Watts in Compton, in your area, in the city of Compton. What was the first group? I think probably there were Latino that you heard of when you were growing up.
In Compton itself?
In Compton, yeah.
There was no, the fifth was the only one, the 155.
155. Huh?
Yeah, they were the most notorious.
Do you think they were there when you moved to Compton in the early 50s?
Yeah, they were there already. It was called the Nestor Track. It's from 151st Street to 155th Street.
Oh, okay.
And that's the track there. And they were always, it was actually Latinos and poor whites that lived in that area. In fact, the guy that made that song, Sweet 16, you're 16, you're beautiful, what's your mind? He lived there.
So the Nestor track.
Johnny Burnett.
So the Nestor track would be considered a low-income part of Compton?
Low income, yeah.
But it's still the West Side, right?
Right. It was part of the county until 1967. The county then ceded it to Compton.
Oh, okay.
They got rid of it because of the crime problem, and Compton accepted it because of the tax base.
All right. So you go to the Marine Corps, and then at some point you decide becoming a police officer in Compton is a good idea. I guess you were influenced by two things. One, you had a kid, and then two, one of your old friends was already a Compton PD. So let's jump to the 67, 66, 67. You're thinking about, what is Rick gonna do in life, right?
What impressed me was I was working at the Compton post office on Santa Fe, okay? And I for lunch I went over to Jerry's Barbecue, which was right down the street, not that far away from us on Long Beach Boulevard. And I drove up, in my car, and I saw this Compton car drive up, Compton unit. And he drove up to get a cup of coffee, whatever, or his lunch break. And the guy got out of the car, and he just impressed me. He impressed me as being, here's a Compton guy, a Compton cop, and he was a one-man car, and it was just impressive. So I said, I'm gonna start looking into it. I'm gonna look into seeing how I can become a cop. I was in the post office, which was not a bad job, but it was not as impressive as a police officer.
So I guess you was looking for a job that had a little bit more action to it.
I had more glamour to it, exactly. Yeah, post office it was good for me because I got to learn all the addresses in Compton, and I got to learn when I became a cop. There wasn't any area that I wasn't familiar with. You got to familiarize yourself. I grew up in West Compton. I wasn't familiar with East Compton at all. It was like a different planet for me. But being in the post office, I got to learn all those streets, Cook Acre, Lime Street, all those streets that were on the east side. I got to learn where the addresses. And I knew that where there was county strips. Like there was a lot of, any 5-digit number was a county strip. You could have a block like Washington, where you'd have like 7 houses had city numbers on it, 4 numbers. And then 5 houses had county strips on it, 5 numbers on it.
So that means, like, for example, Lueders Park on the east side of Compton in the 50s, that was all white then?
All white completely. Yeah. They used to have sock hops there. They had some of the more popular white, in fact, the Beach Boys were there. I see on Facebook a lot of there's a group called 5060s in Compton. And that's a face group that is got about 4,000 members, and they're all basically whites that lived in Compton that moved out for whatever reason. And so they all get together on Facebook and they exchange information as to how it was. And Lueders Park was very popular. They used to have, like I said, the Beach Boys were there. Just like Johnny Cash, he was over at Town Hall Party on Murr and Long Beach Boulevard. That's when Compton had, it was called the country western music. It was the capital of the West Coast, was in Compton, and Town Hall Party.
Interesting. So even though you lived on the west side of Compton, I guess every once in a while you would go to the east side. You had a job there. if there were events, did you go to any of these Lueders Park events? You know, when you lived on the West Side?
No, I used to hang out in Gonzales Park.
Oh, Gonzales. On Rosecrans.
On Rosecrans, exactly.
It was called Gonzales back then?
It was called Cressy.
Oh, yeah.
Cressy Park. And the reason I did, because they used to have doo-wop, but they had like Johnny Otis, you know, and he would bring his group in there. And I was just more closer to that culture.
So a lot of the guys on Pyru Street hung out at the Cressy Park.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Did they have that big softball stadium there back then, or is that newer?
No, they had the baseball stadium.
Yeah, the baseball.
Jackie Robinson.
Jackie Robinson.
Yeah, it was there.
That was there.
Yeah.
Was it called Jackie Robinson?
No, it wasn't called Jackie Robinson yet.
Okay. So that's like the main park for the west side of Compton, right?
Yeah, that was the park. I used to play basketball there.
So Lueders would be the main park for the east side of Compton, and Cressy, Gonzales.
Cressy Park.
Cressy.
Yeah, it was called Cressy Park then later they changed it to Gonzales because it was Ramon Gonzales was a council. He wasn't a councilman. He was in the school board, Compton School Board. He was a pretty popular character. Went to Compton High, was all pro. All CIF, that kind. So they gave the name. They changed it from Cressy Park to Gonzales Park.
And Campanella Park was a county park, right? It wasn't.
Right. It was on the other side. It was by Stanford Avenue, by St. Albert's. It was strictly a county park.
Yeah, but it was not too far though, right?
No, not that far. Yeah.
But a lot of the kids that grow up in Campanella, they claim Compton.
Yeah.
Even though technically it's county.
Technically, exactly.
Yeah. So, all right. So you decide while you're working at the post office, you want a different job. And what lures you to Compton PD in 1968? Thanks for watching StreetTV.net. If you're not subscribed, please hit that button below and click the bell to receive alerts and notifications. Feel free to comment below so you can give us your feedback, and be sure to watch the 2 related episodes to the right. If you want to support this platform or follow us on social media, visit the links in the description. And thanks for watching StreetTV.net.